Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Sakamoto Days, Season 1, Episode 16. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we see the old man from The Order, just in that quick little tiny cold opening we got. I was like, oh, interesting, because my theory with why he left the fight between Sakamoto and Apart was because he's like, well, Sakamoto is here. I'm going to give him a little bit of a hand, but I'm going to bail because I know how tough Sakamoto is. I can sense he could probably take care of this Apart guy. But part of me now is like, oh, I wonder, did he leave early because he knew, like, okay, so I know where else I need it. He has that sense and vibe of like, I just go where I need to go. Or didn't, because that was like, around the same time, Nagumo kind of figured out what like Slur's really up to going after the JAA, so he might have contacted the old man, or maybe the old man just did it on his own. Once again, it does seem like his whole thing is the whole mumbling to himself thing. So I'm curious to see, like, will we kind of get any proper thing from him? Will he always be the character to keep his eyes closed, or is it going to be a thing of you don't want him when his eyes are open? That's when it gets extra deathly. Maybe that's what they'll go for. I don't know. But either way, with Slur and Gaku on the premises, they go on a slaughtering. It's mainly Gaku who does most of the killing. One of their other people on the inside, Uda, because they had a few people, I guess, sprinkled in. Well, it seems like Uda was their only inside guy directly. I guess like they had other people like nearby to kind of spring into action and keep the building locked down. Because he said, like, oh, where are the others? It's like, oh, they're already kind of on the bottom floor or whatever. So I guess those weren't other planted people. Those were just people nearby ready. You know, they're part of Slur's team that were just ready on grunts that are on the standby. Either way, Gaku, just his bare hands, slicing necks, killing people instantly. And it's so sad because, like, so much of the people kind of take this, like, oh, it's some random guy coming in here. We don't have to worry about it. We'll leave it to some of, like, the people. Because, like, some of the workers didn't think much of it. Because they were like, oh, all combatants, like, get ready. Because I guess all the heavy hitters in the JAA... Well, you also have to... They did, I think it said, mentioned last episode, this is a pretty big headquarters, but it's not even the main headquarters. I guess... so I guess a lot of the heavy hitters aren't here, especially, like, the Order are the biggest heavy hitters. There's some heavy hitters here, but none on that same scale. Because we only saw, like, maybe two people who appear to be decent enough fighters. Everyone else seemed grunt level at best, maybe. But yeah, like, Gaku's just like in one fell swoop slaughters everyone. We finally see his weapon. Obviously, like, I wasn't sure what to think of it aesthetically because I brought it up, like, especially wrapped up in the bandages. I immediately thought of Kasame, but I was like, oh, I was like, does it have a short blade to it or something? Like, is it just all handle? But it's like, no, it's basically a giant hammer weapon. He can also fire out of it too, interestingly enough. But yeah, like, he uses it against like kind of goes a little invincible, or just like the easy, like, oh, I'm just gonna go and like chop off your head in a single instant. And that one guy is like, oh man, I should actually called out of work today. But then another guy stepped in and punched Gaku. But yeah, Gaku sent that guy flying. Seemed like he might be dead. He got flung to the next building into a car. So it's unclear if that impact killed him or not. There's a good chance it did. We never actually got to see what happened to the other guy. Because later on they talk about, like, I think they say like 176 people were killed. And then 3 people were injured. I think that was just Sakamoto. Shin, and Apart might have been the only ones. Well, it could also be like, because I don't think Shin got as messed up, so it could have just been Apart, Sakamoto, and the guy that got flung into the next building. But they said, like, there's one person missing, and I don't know if that was Uda, the inside guy, or not, because they probably haven't clarified, like, oh, he was actually an inside guy. Or it could be the guy that was also there, because we never saw Gaku kill him, so they might have taken him as leverage, or, you know, to pump some information out of him about the JAA. Because, like, it's like they stopped where they got stopped in the episode, but it's like, what was their ultimate goal? And that's still unclear. I guess it was meant to be almost like a let's strike fear into the JAA. Like, this is going to be kind of our opening crescendo. Like, we've been making moves for the past 6 months. wiping out JAA members, but this was kind of like our big like open stage calling card to the JAA as a whole organization. Like, you've kind of dealt with us, you've kind of noticed us, but it's like, no, this time we came and we stepped on your neck, and you're really going to notice us now. So that's kind of my takeaway from it. I mean, going back to that Uda guy, like, yo, like, even Sar was like, oh, did you kind of enjoy it? He's like, oh, yeah, like, the work environment here was actually way better than working for you. It's like, oh, did you make any friends? He's like, yeah, but most of them were in our R&D development, which is on the third floor, so they're most likely dead. He's like, oh, I'm sorry about it. He's like, hey, it's okay, because for him, it's just like, what they're doing is so much more important. So it's like, oh, it sucks that I did get close to these people, but just the matter of factness that they're having this conversation. But I do believe there is also some aspect of Slur being like, I'm actually kind of sorry that we had to kill some of your friends. It's a bummer, and I know, like, because I had you undercover for like a year, but still, but it's like Uda's like, no, I'm all about this cause. I believe in it. I believe in you. So whatever sacrifices have to be made, that's just how it is, and that's what needs to be done. We also catch the old man from the Order making his way here. Just the sickest stuff ever. Just him, just like, just casually, just once again, I'm a sucker for a quick draw. I get the biggest nerd boner from that stuff, because I'm like, I think it's the coolest shit when you're just like, when you draw your sword, you do some sick shit, and you like sheathe your sword again. But just even the notion of like, you draw it a little bit and then like put it back, slicing people into pieces. Then his fight with Gaku, where he's just mumbling down the hall, and Gaku like tries to attack him, and he blocks it with just like the handle of the sword, draws the blade, cuts off two of his fingers. And he's like, yo, this guy's something else. And then that next swoop, he loves just cutting buildings to pieces. Because just for no damn reason, draws his blade and literally cuts the damn floor of the entire floor itself of the building. You're just like, it feels like you kind of go a little unnecessary. But I think it might be just like, maybe in his years, the man just, who knows if he was always this way, or maybe now that he's up there in years, he just doesn't give a shit anymore, so he's always going, or maybe he can't control himself anymore. Maybe he had more strength in his younger days, but now that he's older, he can't hold himself back, so when he goes for it, or hell, like I said, that could have just always been his shtick. Because even from the beginning, when the guy was like slowly walking towards him, Gaku was like, yo, this guy's dangerous, like he's legitimately giving me goosebumps. So at the same time, we have Shin, Sakamoto, and a part swinging in and going up against Slur, which, as we figured, there is history between him and Sakamoto, and that was already apparently clear. But to the point, like, it isn't just like, oh, Slur knows Sakamoto knows him too. Cause this conversation, this episode added to like I said, I feel like I remember there being a conversation like Slur's like, oh yeah, like, Sakamoto did something no one else has kind of been able to do, and that was like give him like an injury or something like that. Like I said, I can't remember what episode it was, but not unless I'm making it up, but I swear that was a conversation had previously, and I think I've talked about it like this season when I reiterated that, with this part of the season when I reiterated it, and I thought like, oh, maybe that's what the X is about, some kind of like permanent mark that Sakamoto left on him, but Sakamoto calls him Uzuki, so it's like, oh, I definitely know you from the past. Because it's interesting, because Nagamo knows him, but Nagamo's like, yeah, but like, he was never really stood out, so like, I didn't remember him. I don't really remember him from our JCC days, so maybe Nagamo kind of became more familiar with him outside of that, because even Slur's like, yo, I was never like the top of the class like you and your crew, which I'm assuming he's talking about the trio of Sakamoto, Nagamo, and we find the other person's name is Akao. She's like the turquoise-haired woman that's in the intro with them. So I wonder whatever happened to her, and I wonder if there's, once again, I'm like, he was a part of the JAA at some point in time, so it's like something went wrong for him to turn his back on the organization, because it's about, classic villain thing of, I'm going to create a new world order. I'm going to rebirth the JAA, because he calls it like he kind of looks at it as an evil organization, and that's why I was like, did he find out more about the intricate like workings of it, where it's like, maybe because he has his own definition of justice, and maybe for him he found out like, we're not going after the bad guys, like the institution that the JAA is kind of all built on bullshit, and like, I believe in true justice and going after like the right wrong people, in regards of like, we're going after the right bad guys, and maybe he felt like the JAA didn't represent that, or like I said, it has to be a thing of someone he cared about or someone he was connected to ended up getting hurt or killed, and he took it out. He's taking it out on the JAA. I'm also curious: are we going to find out he's the one that killed Akao? Because it seems like she's not alive anymore. And the way Naguma was like, "Oh, like so I guess you didn't," because it seems like Sakamoto was supposedly killed him years ago, but it turns out, oh, you're actually still alive. So he had to have done something. I mean, obviously, this would have been while Sakamoto was still with the JAA. I wonder, could this be like one of the last things he did before he quit for Aoi's sake and just wanted to start a family? I wonder, could it be one of the last things he did as part of the JAA? But like, I could definitely, I mean, so they would have be willing to deal with anyone that's like a traitor or whatever in general, but like it feels like it probably was something personal for both Nagumo and Sakamoto to be the ones to deal with it, like why no one else in the JAA had to deal with it, but specifically them. I mean, we have no idea, like, if, like, we don't know, because we know, like, Ogarashi is someone newer because she didn't join the order until sometime after Sakamoto left, so I'd assume, like, Hio and maybe Shishiba, because Sakamoto and Shishiba have a connection, so it has to be a thing of maybe Osoragi is the only one who joined the JAA post Sakamoto leaving, considering he has a rapport with the rest. But also, we know we haven't met all the members. They brought it up like in the first half of part of the season, where like there's at least like 2 or 3 more members that never showed up at the meeting, including the old man. And I think so. It might be like 2 other members we don't know about. Either way, Sakamoto has lost a step or two, as we know. So Slur is pretty dealing with him pretty easily. I mean, the fact is, like he like in an instant, and it feels interesting that. And I wonder if there's some correlation here. When Nagamo's like messing around, he uses a toy knife, a knife where that like it I forgot what the name of it is, but it's like a knife that like when you like push on a blade, it gets fake and it retracts. So Nagamo does that. Slur doesn't. He just uses a straight up knife and he stabs Sakamoto. And like Sakamoto initially can't land a blow on him, can't get close to him, but he also has to worry about a part who gets his arm sliced off. Shin almost getting got multiple times because it's not just Slur, it's also that Uda guy, but it's mainly Slur. Obviously, Sakamoto's not coming at this with the intent to kill him until Slur like makes the point to bring up Hannah's name. He's like, "Oh, you have a daughter, don't you?" And it's like that was enough to piss him off, and he got consumed by his rage. That it's like having, I think, so that I think adds to the fact is that like he definitely killed someone that was important to Sakamoto for him to get like even is like I don't even want you to like utter anything about my daughter. I don't even want to hear those words ever leave your like mouth. That he got so angry. Because obviously he gets angry about anyone like hurting the people he cares about. It's also like you're the one that sent the inmates out, and that hurt. Shin and Zhao Tang could have been like hurt, even more hurt and even killed because of that. So like a lot of that probably built up, but specifically hearing him reference the like, because that also is like a subtle thread of like, well, I know enough about you, Sakamoto. I could track down that daughter of yours and kill her. So that's why I'm like, I think he has something to do with Akao's. I'm butchering it and saying it differently every time. Sorry. Like the person him and Nagamo knew, I think he had something to do with that. But then like Slur could feel like the killing intent inside of Sakamoto because he's like basically like back in our JCC days. Once again, I wasn't the top of the class like you guys, but we were supposed to be like the embodiment of like death, so we have to bury our emotions and not feel anything. And so now Sakamoto's serious and he's going at him full force and he's enjoying it and they're duking it out. But right before they're able to like really, really get into it, before they're about to do the clashing of blows, Shin calls out to him, and in that moment, Sakamoto thinks about all that he has, and it kind of lets go of that anger because he's like, "I'm not that person anymore. I can't be baited to back because I'm like I've made progress. I'm not that same person anymore." And Before the fight can continue, Gaku shows up and interrupts because the old man just makes his way over, slashes past Uda, who like he fires a bullet, guy deflects it. Uda gets behind him, but like the old man like cuts one of his, I think his trigger finger off. Maybe I think it's like either his thumb or his trigger finger, and then the blade sticks into Uda, and then the old man proceeds to kind of go after Gaku, slices off one of his arms, but Gaku like I believe he kicks his arm with his weapon at no man, and he blocks it with his sword, but the sword cracks. And Gaku was about to continue to fight, but Slur grabs him and is like, yeah, because I think Slur probably knew, like, well, we've made our point, but also, like, and with this old man here, like, Slur's not as much worried about it for himself, but it's like, I don't want to keep losing people. Well, he hadn't lost Uda yet, but we'll get to that in a second. So he's like, yeah, Gaku isn't really in the best position to be fighting right now, so because I think more so than anything, probably from Slur's perspective, is like you got caught off guard because we weren't expecting, like, as he calls him, like the ghost of the JAA. Didn't expect him to show up. So it's like, yeah, that was kind of like something they were hoping the entire order would be distracted. Wasn't expecting the old man to step up. I forgot what the technique is called. It's like one of Virgil's signature techniques when he like does like that multitude of slashes around himself. I believe his judgment cut is the technique I'm thinking of, but he kind of does that like right before Slur grabbed Gaku and drew him back, but Sakamoto wasn't going to let him go in that moment. But the problem is, and also like just before that happens, you also have the old man charging forward too, because like he ends up, I think, getting right past Sakamoto in that moment, but I know like the old man is about to attack, but Uda sacrifices himself and blows himself up. Sakamoto throws like an apron at Shin and apart to keep them safe. But in that moment, like the explosion happens and Sakamoto seems like okay, but like I think probably like the blast and the wounds on top of it have finally caught up with him. And then you just have Slur standing above him muttering at something. And Sakamoto's like, but before anything, Gaku and him leave, and Slur smiles because I don't know if he was uttering something that Sakamoto could pick up or what. But yeah, the situation was left off there. Get a few repairs to the building after a couple days, and Sakamoto's in the hospital. And eventually gets visited by Hio and Nagamo, who, upon hearing about Uzuki, which Hio doesn't know, but obviously, like I said, this goes back to Nagamo and Sakamoto's JCC days. They were making Nagamo even makes fun of the fact is like Hio wasn't really known. He was like, "Hey, I was a late bloomer, so my reputation kind of wasn't out there like your guys's was." But like Sakamoto wants to understand. He wants to know why Slur's doing what he's doing. He's like, to understand his plans, I need to know what the order knows. And Hio's like, yo, you don't really get to say that because you're not part of this organization anymore. But Sakamoto, it's like, because he's like, yeah, you keep going like this, you will end up dead. You do realize that, right? You got a family, don't you? But for Sakamoto, it's like, yeah, but I want to protect my family with my own hands, like to protect what I built, and I need to be the one to do it. So he's like, right, you still plan on doing this all on your own. He's like, initially, I used to be like that, but not anymore. And Shin comes and backs him up, and they kind of slightly deal with Hio without fighting him. And even, Sakamoto's like, please give me this information. And Hio's like, he finally reluctantly gives in, but he's also like, the Sakamoto I knew would never be one to like ask even me for help in this situation. So it's like, I can't give you direct information because you're an civilian now, but he's like, go look into the JCC days. Like, there's something there that is the basis of what they know, what kind of, I guess, sparked Slur's like assault. And it shows that Hio is at the end of it all. He's your big tough softy, And I even love them apologizing to yeah, I'm stuck to this MRI machine. Sorry about that. And the doctor's like, oh no, it's cool. Once again, the civilians in this world are just so like blasé about stuff. But I think it's also the fact is that Maybe it's just like some of these people aren't normal people. It's hard to say. It seems like they are just normal people. Just that's the nature of the world of Sakamoto days. Hell, they even cut back to the tower. It's like it's become a tourist site now. It's like the Leaning Tower of Tokyo, and it's like yeah, a whole bunch of tourists have come to town because of it. So but obviously, I skipped over it a little bit, but Shin was feeling a little responsible for everything going down because he's like, oh, for a second, because of our fight with Saul a couple episodes back, he's like, I thought I was getting a little bit better, but in front of Slur, I could do nothing. Even Slur's like, oh, you shouldn't apologize. If you really want to feel sorry, a better use of your life would be killing yourself right now than rather than apologizing. That'd actually be more useful. But Shin was so reluctant to even go into Sakamoto's room with the fruit because he felt too ashamed to show himself. And he's like, I couldn't do anything for you. And then Sakamoto's like, you brought me back when you said what you said. When you called out to me, you brought me back. He's like, you're always helping me out. Thank you. And then it turns out he never actually said any of that. He was thinking it. And Shin's like, yo, that's the type of stuff I would actually like to hear you say. But it's like, right, they've got to piece this together. The next stop is going to be the JCC. So that was a beautiful like partner moment that they had of like they can't always rely on each other. So we'll see what they might discover next episode, see where some of this other stuff takes us. But really that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.